Hey, truth seekers, welcome back. Zach here. It's April 25th, 2017, a Tuesday. It's 3 days since the death of Erin Moran. Today in the news, Scott Baio, the co-star from Joanie Loves Chachi, which he and Erin Moran starred in the 70s. Today he's in the news for being critical of her lifestyle. He's saying she died because she partied too hard, too much alcohol, too much drugs. If you take care of your body that way, you're going to die of some disease or illness. So the media is saying, that's harsh. She died of stage 4 cancer. Remember, though, the night of her death, the breaking news headlines, they all speculated that she overdosed on heroin. That was the initial reporting. Then 2 days later, they said she died of stage 4 cancer. So, anyway, what I want to show you is what is so fascinating about the relationship between the death of Erin Moran, April 22nd, and Scott Baio's 56th birthday, which passed September 22nd. As we covered, the night of Erin Moran's death, she died on April 22nd. Where do I have this at? Which in Satanic Gematria, Erin Moran sums to 422. And from her birthday, October 18th, to the day she died, was 187 days. She dropped dead in Indiana the day before Game 4 of the NBA playoffs with the Cleveland Cavaliers. In this video, I elaborated on the significance of 187, time, Ohio, what that even has to do with Donald Trump, the current president of the United States, who had his GOP convention in Cleveland 187 days before Inauguration Day, starting on July 18th, or 18/7. I also talked about how the Society of Jesus, the Jesuit order, has gematria of 187 and 56, and is known historically for being assassins. This woman dropped dead at age 56, 187 days after her birthday. So now, looking at her co-star's birthday, here's Scott Baio. It gets even more interesting. We're going to look at his birthday. I just want to point out first what this subscriber wrote in a comment. They wrote, "Hey Zach, not sure if you saw my comment on Erin Moran video, but maybe Scott Baio dies soon, like Vanity then Prince." Last year Vanity died, and I showed the relationship with Vanity and Prince, and why the numbers in the death of Vanity before the 58th Grammys didn't look good for Prince, and why he might die soon. This person's seeing a similar narrative with Erin Moran and Scott Baio, who again co-starred in the same show. I'm not sure Scott Baio is going to die this year, but I'm going to show you what's so interesting about Erin Moran's death in light of his birthday in just a second. But what this person caught is really cool. Joanie Loves Chachi has gematria of 93, the special number that represents Saturn, the keeper of time, having to do with death and judgment. If you write out 93 as a word, it sums to 154. And from the death of Erin Moran to the upcoming birthday of Scott Baio is 154 days. And sometimes within these riddles, they're connected to the world of sports. This is most definitely connected to the world of basketball, which we're going to elaborate on. It might even be connected to the Major League Baseball season. Remember, last year, the Cleveland Cavaliers were beating the same teams in the playoffs that the Cleveland Indians were beating in the regular season. And then, lo and behold, the Cleveland Indians went to the World Series after the Cavs went to the finals. But anyway, the old baseball season used to be 154 games. Baseball's named after Abner Doubleday, who fought in the Indian-American War, which was in Indiana and Ohio. I just got to wonder, is there some riddle here? Anyway, this is just the beginning. It gets way more interesting. If you don't count the full span of days, if you just say from Erin Moran's death to Scott Baio's upcoming birthday, it's 153 days later. Both measurements are fair, and oftentimes both numbers are significant. But anyhow, 153 is interesting because it connects to the Cavaliers. I explained the night of her death that this had everything to do with the Cavaliers playing in Indiana, Game 4 the next day. Cavaliers has gematria of 153, like Holy Bible, Remember, the star player of the Cavs is LeBron James, nicknamed King James, who has a Holy Bible named after him. Last year, LeBron James and the Cavs won on the real King James's birthday. Major biblical riddle. The name LeBron James equals 66, 66 books in the Bible, plus so much more. Of course, in the Bible, there's the miraculous catch of 153 fish. Anyway, that's the 153 piece. Now let's measure from Scott Baio's 56th birthday, just like we measured from Erin Moran's 56th birthday. From her birthday to her death was 187 days later in Satanic Gematria, important cipher. From Scott Baio's 56th birthday to her death was 213 days. And the word death in Satanic Gematria is 213. 213. You see this? From Scott Baio's 56th birthday to Erin Moran's 213 days. Death. Time. You see how this comes together? And again, they co-starred in Joanie Loves Chachi, which equals 93, the number for Saturn, the keeper of time, which also has a lot to do with death and judgment. The astrological symbol representing Saturn has the scythe in it, like the Grim Reaper. That's where the Grim Reaper's scythe comes from, the symbolism of Saturn. So anyhow, there's more. Scott Baio, his full name in Gematria sums to 239. And aren't I getting redundant with this number? You know, every video I'm talking about with these deaths, just that I've put out in the last 24 hours, they're all connected to 239. James Brown, Michael Jackson, Farrah Fawcett, and many more from history. But those are just the videos I just put out. And in every single video, I'm showing how all of these people's names connect to 239. 239 is the number that represents the Torah. Very important number in Gematria to the Jewish spirituality. Gematria, a Jewish practice. We know who runs the entertainment industry. It's no secret. Zionist Jews. The same ones that practice this numerical code. You know, look into what Kabbalah is. Look into Jewish mysticism. Look into the significance of numbers. Look into numerical rituals. Think about phrases like your number's up. You know, numbers. They have greater meaning. In this blog post below, you can just click on this video of Farrah Fawcett. You know, I just put out that video this morning talking about 239 before I even looked into this, before I decoded Scott Baio. But I made the point then. I said, you decode these names, you see how often they show up. Here we go. As anyone who the reason so many people say they watch all my videos, and I have thousands of videos, is because if you watch my video and then you watch the next one and you watch the next one, you just watch the case build further and further. This is like an ongoing legal matter. You know, I'm proving a case here. There's something really sick's going on that people need to wake up to. You know, people are wasting their lives watching these rigged sports, wasting their lives in fear of what they heard in the newspaper, on the TV, when all that it was ever meant to do, the information coming out, was scare you, intimidate you, hold you down. I'm trying to help people see through the lies. So anyway, this Scott Baio. Scott Baio has Gematria 58, also like the name Scott. Remember, 58 represents Freemasonry. It's Scottish Rite Freemasonry that has, you know, built this nation, built this language, built this calendar system we're on. Scott Baio also has Gematria of 139, also like Freemasonry. Just in case you're new here, America, 139. Freemasonry, 139. Jerusalem, 139. Remember, Gematria is a Jewish practice, going back to Hebrew. Jewish state, which is what America and Israel are, 139. If you don't know you live in a Jewish state, you do. Jewish, 74. Holiday, 74. English, 74. Gematria, 74. This is the alphabetic order. This is the most basic form of Gematria, all these 74s. Freemasonry is based in Jewish history. Solomon's Temple, Masonic 74. You want to get a little more complicated. Independence Day with the reduction method 74. This nation built by Jewish Zionists, Freemasons. But again, what is Freemasonry? Judaism for the Gentile. That's why it's all based in the Old Testament, Jewish history, Solomon's Temple. The establishment of Israel by the numbers of Freemasonry, the numbers that come from these holy books, the Torah, which is the beginning of the Bible. So anyway, Scott Baio. He's also from the Brooklyn, New York neighborhood where seemingly every entertainer comes from. Zionist Mecca there, Brooklyn, New York. He was born on a date with a life lesson number of 47, the year Israel was established, 47 degrees on the Freemason compass. The compass represents the number 333. See my work on that. Israel created on the 333rd day of the year 47. Not by coincidence, because it's all part of this Masonic agenda by the numbers, this Zionist agenda. Here he is, from a borough of Brooklyn. His full name also has gematria of 77, just like the name Scott, just like United States, just like power, just like Judaism. The nation's capital is on the 77th meridian, the 38th parallel, the word Jew 38, the word Judaism 77. They put their capital of their Jewish state right where it's supposed to be. And on September 11th, their big Jewish ritual, tribute to Solomon's Temple and its destruction 2 times, the 2 towers on 9/11. Remember what they did to you? On September 11th, Flight 77 hit the 77-foot tall Pentagon on the 77th meridian 77 minutes after taking off. September 11th, 77. World Trade Center, 77. Did you see the recent news about the girl who died in the pancake eating contest? They said her father died in the collapse of the towers on September 11th. The collapse that's blamed on the pancake theory. So anyway, these numbers are special. They're used in rituals. It's interesting that this man's full name in reduction sums to 77, just like his first name, you know? Again, he's from Brooklyn, New York. Jewish Zionist Mecca, Brooklyn, New York, 223. In the Bible, it says the false Jews will rule in the end times. We call them the Jewish people. The Synagogue of Satan, 223, like Masonic. Notice this man's full name is Scott Vincent James Baio. James, that 223 coding that we talk about. King James Bible. A lot of 223 in the Bible. They say the first printed Bibles were March 22nd, 1457. That was even before King James. Anyway, the headlines tomorrow are about Scott Baio blaming Erin Moran for the wrong cause of death. But he responded and he said, is it the wrong cause of death? He says, if you mistreat yourself, you're going to die from disease and illness. But understand, this media that we have, they try to program everybody to think that, you can put whatever in your body and there'll be no consequences. And, death, it's really just all genetics and all of this information we are given is about misprogramming us, making us not know what to think, what to believe, what's true. Well, I'll tell you what's true. You want to be as healthy as possible, eat dark green vegetables, as many of them as you possibly can, exercise, get cardio, make sure your heart's pumping, use your muscles, use it or lose it, and get enough sleep. And try not to suck down the pre-rolled cigarettes that are all full of chemicals and pesticides. If you're going to smoke cigarettes, roll your own. I know that tobacco won't kill you. I got a grandmother who hasn't moved off a couch since the whole time I've been alive, and all she does is suck down one cigarette after the next that she rolls herself. But anyway, in this world, we are built as commodities. They want us to poison ourselves because we generate a lot of revenue for people in high places through the for-profit health industry. These narratives, they're about a lot of things, And today's argument in the media is, can you blame cancer on drugs and alcohol? Yeah, cancer is a mutation in your body. You mistreat your body, more likely that you're going to catch cancer. So anyway, just look at these words. Blaming 58, blame 58. We talked about his 58 connection. Think about how Freemasonry believes in divide and conquer, order out of chaos. Divide people by creating a boogeyman, something to blame, something to fight over needlessly, as is done time and time again. I want to make a point here about Solomon's Temple. Notice it has the gematria of 58, like Jerusalem, like Freemasonry, like secret society. Solomon's Temple also has gematria of 68. And in 1968, 911 was made the national emergency dialing code. World Trade Center construction began in September. Excuse me. And George W. Bush graduated from Yale and Skull and Bones. Space Odyssey 2001 also came out that year. From 68 to 2001's 33 years. Now check this out. There's a Jewish holy day called Tisha B'Av that's about remembering the destruction of Solomon's temple and the temple built after it. The two temples destroyed. Tisha B'Av 911. 911 is the 156th prime number. The 156th, if you write out 33, it sums to 156. You see how well thought out all of this is? You know, the only word that I'm aware of in Jewish gematria that's also 911 is division. And think about what 911 did. Divided people, made them blame Islamic people, created this fear of Islam that was not there before. And real quick, I just want to try something out since this is a new feature added to the calculator. If you want to do a search now, you can click match. And based on what ciphers you have up, it'll pull up words for you in that cipher that have been entered into this database. So before, like I said, the only word that I knew that was 911 in Jewish gematria besides Tisha B'Av was division. But here's some more. You know, these ones are in here. Few. Interesting that Eazy-E was murdered by the numbers. Wow, and now that I think about it, Eazy-E, I can't explain it here. Well, I sort of can. Okay. Ice Cube's album, Lethal Injection, came out 444 days before Eazy-E was killed, or diagnosed with AIDS, which killed him just days later. And to appreciate what 444 is, let me just show you this. Anything with a English ordinal value gematria of 74, such as killing, there's a song called Gematria, the killing name, Gematria 74, English 74, killing 74. Again, we just talked about this, Masonic 74. But anything with an English ordinal gematria of 74 will have a Sumerian gematria of 444. Just like anything with a reverse ordinal gematria, I'll just show you this. In reverse ordinal, bad is 74. Anything with a reverse ordinal gematria of 74 will have a reverse Sumerian gematria of 444. It's just multiplying that method times 6. So, to come back here, killing is 444. Eazy-E was diagnosed with AIDS 444 days after Ice Cube's album Lethal Injection. The World Trade Centers, the 93 World Trade Center bombing was 3,119 days before September 11, 2001. And you can look it up if you don't believe me. I know for a fact that it's 100% true. 3,119 is the 444th prime. And the World Trade Centers were on the 74th meridian. You see? 74, 444, 93 World Trade Center bombing. We're talking about Joanie Loves Chachi, 93 Saturn, Judgment, Keeper of Time. But anyway, this is why Gematrinator is becoming a more awesome website by the day. This search functionality. And understand, you can put in whatever ciphers you want and search in all values. You can use this whatever way you want. But here I just wanted to look for a very specific 911 within Jewish gematria. And it turns out there's quite a few interesting things here. Vatican Hill 911. How weird is that in light of what we know about Vatican? Remember, Vatican's 119, the reflection, just like Francis. Truth sick, I'm going to have to go back through my whole book again, everything that I thought I was already finished with, and just double check. What am I missing now? Oh, man, this is why I can go on all day, but the knowledge, it's becoming, easier to access by the day. I got to thank Derek so much for building this calculator and putting all the time. Man, we're going to have to go back and do some research. Jihadist 911. 11 o'clock, the 11th state. The 11th state, the 11th day of the 9th month, the big buildings that look like 11s that were 110 stories tall, 1-1, lose the 0. Wow. But the natural disasters. Wasn't there a storm just offshore when 9/11 happened? Wow. But see, as everyone uses this and builds the database, it's just going to get better and better. You can come here and search 33 for words, find out all sorts of things. So have fun, Truth Seeker. Until next time, Core. Almost forgot to finish the video. So again, we were talking about the Solomon's Temple thing, 68, 9/11, World Trade Centers, Bush, 33 years later, 2001, and the false blaming of a boogeyman for an ongoing agenda. Notice the gematria blame, 33. And in the Jewish faith, there really is something called scapegoating. It's a spiritual practice. You have a troubled person within the faith. What they do is they sacrifice a goat with the belief that the goat takes the negative attributes, the things that are cursing the individual who's struggling. You kill the goat to take the demon out of the man. Scapegoating. Scapegoat 33, just like blame. Think about it. And think about how many times in the history of this world, a false flag. Hold on. We should have took this further. False flag has the gematria of 33. Remember, 911's the 156th prime number, and when you write out 33, it sums to 156. I guess I should show you false flag in Jewish gematria too. This is how over the years we figured out these methods are relevant. The construction firm that built the World Trade Centers, Magnuson Klemenkic Associates, their name equals 156. Forget, is there something with the word architect too? Yeah, even architect. The firm that built the World Trade Centers literally has a name gematria of 156, and in reverse ordinal, 156 as well. Think about how perfectly planned out 911 was. Those buildings were only built for the ritual that was 911. There was no need for those buildings. There were all sorts of vacancies in New York for office space. Office rents were depleted. Why build 2 huge towers full of office space when you already have all this office space you can't rent out? Those buildings were built by the Rockefeller family. See my work on David Rockefeller, 93. His magazine cover, Newsweek, April 3rd, 1967, the 93rd day of the year, a date with 93 numerology. On his watch, he has the time 911. He's standing where they were going to build the World Trade Centers behind him a year later. I'm telling you, Truth Seeker, been living out these rituals by the numbers for a long time. Also, I was just looking to see if Scott Baio's been in the media at all recently, and it turns out on February 13th of all days, he made big news for going on Fox and talking about, how companies shouldn't be getting rid of Ivanka Trump's clothing line. You know what? As I say that out loud and really think about it, the day that it happened, okay, Ivanka's 58. Donald Trump won the 58th presidential election. Inauguration day was on a date with 58 numerology. He announced that he was running for president from the 58-story Trump Tower in New York. Where his family's at, and the U.S. government's paying $200,000 a day to keep his family safe. But anyway, Ivanka's 58. Remember they hired the 58-year-old Steve Ray to do the ceremony for the 58th presidential inauguration for Trump? Look at this. That guy's name was Steve Ray, right? Steve Ray equals 115, just like Freemasons, Masonic. Steve Ray replaced the man that had done it for every president since the 34th president. They hired a 58-year-old for the 58th inauguration on the date with 58 numerology. Look at what happens if you write out 58. 115, just like the name Steve Ray, who was 58 years old. I'm also noticing for the first time the 58-47 thing. Trump 47. My goodness. President 47. My goodness. But this is what it is, Truth Seeker. All this stuff is planned out for so long. If you don't know, that wasn't even Trump's original family name. It was Drumpf, 33. Also 84, like United States of America. I bet you when they changed the name to Trump is when they got it all planned out for, that one of their future born would be the President of the United States. Because in this nation, presidents are never elected. They're always selected. What I'm trying to tell you is it's a big gang that runs us. George Carlin had the joke about the big gang and you're not in it. This is what it is. Scott Baio's in it. Erin Moran seemingly was connected to it. A lot of people are in it, but not us. Not the normal people. We're just watching the show. And what most normal people don't know is the show's all by the numbers. And it's always the same numbers. Again and again. Murdering people, tearing down towers, rigging the sports game. Same numbers used again and again. Recycled, because those numbers are all part of the, the magical spell, the ritual. Whatever these people believe in. All right, Truth Seeker, until next time.